Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm so excited. You've been talking so much about this case and not giving me any information. I'm so ready.
I'm excited. All right. Are you ready to get started?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's do it. My name's Savannah.
I'm Elysia.
And this is Burden of Proof.
All right, everybody. I'm going to jump right into it because there's a lot.
Okay.
But I want to keep it to one episode.
All right.
I feel like it's not enough to cover two. So.
Okay. We got it.
This is the murder of Lisa Knoefel. Yes, it's Knoefel. It's spelled a little different. So, all right. So I'm going to start with the victim, Lisa Knoefel, and her background. So Lisa was a social worker for the Cuyahoga County Department of Children and Family Services in Ohio. This all took place in Willoughby, Ohio, near Cleveland.
The Ohio case.
Yeah, I love my Ohio cases. So Lisa was specifically a social worker within the sex abuse unit of family services. So yeah, she dealt with her fair share of intense things, I'm sure. She and her first husband, she's actually been married twice. Her first husband, Nicholas Zanella, and her shared a daughter, Megan, who at the time of the murder was 13 years old. She had been described as nothing but loving and compassionate, even having fostered children while she was a single mother.
Oh.
Yeah. After her and Nicholas divorced, she had more love. So she fostered at least one child at a time, but I think multiple children. And then it's been reported that her and Nicholas continued to have a very amicable relationship beyond divorcing. And then in 2006, she married Kevin Knoefel. And by all accounts, their friends, their family, everybody said it was a happy marriage. Some people even went on to say they were destined to be together. And her friends had said that as soon as they met him, he fit right in. Everything was great. They totally saw what she saw in him.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
For your friends to be on board, that's...
Yeah. So a few years later, she gave birth to their daughter, Haley. So at the time of her death, Haley was only 3 years old.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's almost harder on the 13-year-old, though. Because you're aware and you have more memories.
Oh, it was, yeah, we'll get into that.
I don't like that face you just made.
It was, we'll get into that. Okay. Yeah, it was hard on both of them. So there's not a lot that I could find on Kevin's, history. And I kind of wanted to keep the intros short because there's a lot to the case. But he was married once before and had a son from that marriage. He, at the time of Lisa's death, he was a truck driver for Gordon Food Service. Mm-hmm. But he also had worked as a school bus driver, which is interesting given the case. As well as he was an EMT in the past. So that's about all that I could really... without spending days on researching it, is not much came up. So then there was their foster daughter, Sabrina.
I like that name. It's a good name, Sabrina.
Yeah, you might like it less by the end of this. Sabrina does have she has a sordid history. She was born October 27th, 1994. To unwed parents who were both addicts and in and out of trouble with the law. So she was predominantly raised by her grandmother, along with her father when he was around, basically, from what I gathered, until she was about 14. Her grandmother's health was declining, and Sabrina's father was still an addict and still in and out of jail. So she started getting into trouble and grandma couldn't keep up. So she was removed from the home. She initially, in the foster system, went to group homes predominantly.
Because how old was she?
14. Yeah. And she had been accused of stealing from her grandma and more serious stuff, not normal, not your typical teenage stuff. She also had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, ADHD, and insomnia. And at that point, when she was in foster care, she was on as many as 9 different medications for it.
Goodness.
So it was pretty severe.
Or she was being medicated incorrectly.
Yeah.
Which is
that
also
could be
an issue.
Yeah, that could be too. Then in July of 2011, at 16 years old, Sabrina went to live with Lisa and Kevin Knoefel. And by all accounts, she was very excited to finally get to be a part of a family, not just a group home. She started doing better overall. Her behavior was better. Her academics were better. Like nobody was having a problem with her.
That's good.
From the start, she felt closer to Kevin than Lisa. She would later say that Lisa made her feel like an outsider and Lisa was rather unapproachable to her. So she pretty instantly, which is hard to understand because Lisa was a social worker.
Yeah, and that's what I was processing. And she was also a foster parent and she was a single mom. So
right. So you have to take that with a grain of salt because Sabrina had issues. She really wasn't. Her mom was not really much in the picture of her life from what I gathered. So she probably kind of had some issues with mom. What's the word I'm looking for?
Mommy issues?
Mother figures.
Mother figures.
Yeah, she probably had some issues. And so, and it may have been a little, yeah, well, I mean, yeah. So Sabrina reportedly displayed very maternal behavior towards Haley, their 3-year-old, the Knoefel's 3-year-old daughter.
Well, that makes sense.
So much so, though, that it caused problems between her and Lisa.
Oh, because she was undermining.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to be big sister and be maternal. It's another thing to actually, apparently this was like so much so almost as if she's trying to like play mom for real to Haley. So Lisa began fighting with Kevin because Sabrina would get kind of flirty or inappropriate with Kevin. And he was, what's that saying that the kids say? He was there for it.
Here for it.
He was here for it. Well, I guess at the time, since it's past.
I guess.
He was there.
I don't think that's one of those things that you don't change. It's just here for it.
He was here for it. Despite Lisa's suspicions and protests to Kevin, he continued his unusual relationship with Sabrina, which included things like Sabrina picking out underwear for him and giving him thigh massages.
I can't. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it through this. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord. And you're a grown adult. You should be able to say, okay, this is like icky.
So the excuse that he used for that was that Sabrina at the time was she was trying to figure out what she wanted to do. She was into modeling. I won't comment on that. She was into modeling. She was considering going to cosmetology school or like massage therapy school. And he was a truck driver. So he was like, my thighs are always so tense.
Oh, they're so tense from sitting in my truck.
Yes.
I'm not saying that truck drivers don't have body issues. You definitely have like back issues. I'm not sure if you have like thigh issues.
Yeah, that's.
Let me know if I'm wrong. But when in your thigh hurts from being a truck driver?
My brother was a truck driver and he complained about back problems occasionally, but I don't recall him ever going, man, my thighs really hurt.
Oh, his thighs, they're burning.
So, everything seemed, they had issues, obviously. Lisa and Kevin were arguing about those things.
No shit.
But, other than that, from the outside perspective, like, it didn't necessarily, nothing seemed sinister. Mm-hmm. But in the early morning hours of November 16th, 2012, Megan, Lisa's 13-year-old daughter, is awakened to a struggle in the home. She calls 911 screaming at somebody who's there, but they, of course, don't know who it is, to stop. And in the background at one point, you can hear another female voice yelling to call 911. The call is disturbing. I considered using it, but it's too much. And you can't make out half of what Megan says because she's so frantic and hysterical. But the dispatcher gets her to calm down a bit, enough to say, okay, this is what's happening. And Megan tells her that her sister has a knife and is trying to kill her mom. Police. You have something?
I did, but it's okay.
No, go ahead.
I tend to think that when you first listen to 911 calls, the 911 operators can be very abrasive.
Yeah.
Because they have to be.
Yes.
And, like, they have to be really firm.
Yes.
And I remember the first time I ever had to call 911 was I was in a McDonald's drive-thru, and in a parking lot behind us, a guy was beating his girlfriend up. And I was like, I don't want to do it. I was 16. I was leaving my first job, which was at JCPenney. And I was like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And the McDonald's worker was like, I am not allowed to do it. I'm on the clock. Like, you have to do it. I don't know why she wasn't allowed to do it, but she made me do it.
I don't know that that's accurate.
I don't think so either.
But okay.
And so I called, and I remember thinking, like, I was panicking because I didn't know what to do. I was stuck in the drive-thru. The guy in front of me had gotten out of the car to go help the chick. So I was like, panicking. And if they had not been so firm and abrasive with me, I don't know if I would have been able to get out in time.
Yeah.
That they needed to help. So even when because I don't know, I was listening to one the other day, and I was like, why are they so, but that's why they're so mean.
Yeah.
Because they have to be.
Yeah. And when you listen to it, the dispatcher is sort of abrasive with her and tells her, I need you to calm down. I need you to take a breath. Like, is like being very
and it's just
firm with her.
I don't know. I thought about it the other day because it's just such a different way to calm people down than we don't normally do in real life. We're just like, it's okay. Take your time. We don't have time.
But you don't have time. Exactly. And they really didn't have time. So police arrive on the scene to find Sabrina exiting Lisa's bedroom with a bloody and bent 9-inch serrated kitchen knife. 9 inches.
9 inches is a big knife.
9 inches is a big knife. Sabrina herself had cuts or lacerations on her hands, the back of her neck, and her legs above her knees. Lisa put up a fight.
Yeah. The back of her neck?
Yep.
She was reaching.
Officer Molinax was the first on the scene. He described Sabrina's appearance as though it looked like she literally showered in blood.
That's such an image. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I can see it.
He ordered her to the ground and cuffed her, then entered Lisa's bedroom, where Lisa was on the floor covered completely in blood, and he said he knew as soon as he walked in and saw her that there wasn't much he could do to help her. Then police find Lisa's 3-year-old daughter, Haley, in the closet of the bedroom. Yes.
Wait, is she alive?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was so jarring.
Oh, God. I'm so sorry.
You've been talking about Lisa being the victim. Oh my gosh, there was a 3-year-old?
Sabrina loved Haley, so no, she did not. She did not.
That didn't make any. I have the goosebumps. They're leaving my body.
And I'm so sorry. I should have phrased that better. No, she adored Haley, and even though she didn't get along with Megan very well, she didn't harm Megan, even when Megan was screaming at her and trying to get her to stop. Apparently, because Megan later reports that before she even called 911, she tried to actually like physically pull her off of Lisa and get her to stop. And Sabrina never turned and like stabbed her or anything.
Oh my gosh.
So, unfortunately, Lisa was dead upon arrival. The EMTs reported that they weren't even able to run an IV because her veins had collapsed from all the blood loss. Sabrina was out of sorts. She was, not really answering questions at first. She kind of acted dazed and confused. And at one point when the EMTs are checking out her cuts and stuff, She even started to doze off. But when she finally did come to and start talking, she claimed that she blacked out and didn't have any recollection of what happened. But, obviously you did it.
You did it.
So
I never know if I believe people when they say, well, I just blacked out. Like, I don't know how much truth is in that psychologically. No. Can you, I know you can black out events like after the fact, but do you black out in the moment? No.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've never done it. Never.
I think there's probably rare occasions where people do, but I would think that you would at some point in the midst of it, something would happen to jar you out of it.
Yeah.
Like, like Megan approaching her.
Yeah.
You're standing there, even if you were like having some sort of dream or something that caused you to do that. As soon as, because people who, like, I have a child who had night terrors, and she would look wide awake. When people have night terrors, they open their eyes, they look wide awake in it. But when you approach them and you jostle them or you wake them, then they freak out because they don't know what's real. Like, they just came out of,
horrifying.
Yeah. And so even that, like, I would think that Megan trying to physically jar her and get her off of Lisa, that would have like snapped her out of it or something. But that's what she claimed at first. So needless to say, she was arrested and taken to the Lake County Jail. Lisa's autopsy showed that she had been stabbed 12 times fully and cut or wounded 166 times.
Oh my gosh.
At least 2 of the stabs were lethal, with one severing the carotid artery and another collapsing her lung. So obviously they know Sabrina's the murderer, but they really didn't understand the motive.
Yeah,
because
it looks like she was doing well.
Yeah, by all accounts, she had been doing well. And just because she didn't get along with, obviously this girl has had troubles before.
Yeah. You don't expect her to be perfect.
There were no reports saying while she had gotten into trouble, it was all like drug related or stealing money or, that kind of stuff. None of it was violent.
Yeah.
Nothing. So the other confusing thing is this happens on November 16th, 2012. Sabrina had just turned 18 on October 27th, I believe it was.
And she's still living there.
And she chose to live there. Yeah. She was part of the foster system. So on her 18th birthday, they do an evaluation with her, and she chose to stay.
And they allowed her to stay.
Everything
was going fine.
So if it was just a matter of her and Lisa not getting along, why would Sabrina not just say, okay, I'm moving out?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm going to go live with another family, like my biological family member, or
and she
I have
loved
friends.
Haley so much.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So investigators are kind of twiddling their thumb. Well, no, that's a bad choice of words. I'm sorry. Not twiddling their thumbs, but scratching their heads.
There we go.
There it is. Because they can't figure it out. Yeah,
because it's not glaringly obvious for sure.
9 months later, and we'll get into the, like, why did she wait 9 months to come forward? Sabrina finally comes to investigators and says, okay, I'll tell you why I did it, but we're going to strike a deal, essentially. So she's willing to tell them as long as they strike this deal, which was life with the possibility of parole after 30 years, which I've heard on some sources and various things say that doesn't seem like much of a deal, but it's because Ohio, there's the death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of, and she was young, which meant that she's only going to be like in her 40s when if she gets out after 30 years. So she
even
still
if she
has
doesn't get out, then that means she's not going to die.
Yeah. And some people would rather not die, even if they have to live their life out in prison. So
that would be me. I wouldn't want to die.
Brace yourself.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Hold
on.
on.
So this is Sabrina's story.
Hold on. Let me brace. All right. I'm ready.
Sabrina tells investigators that Kevin Knoefel had been the motive all along. She said that their relationship had changed when she was still 17. It began with the thigh massages. She said that within a couple of months from starting with the massages, it escalated into her massaging his genitals.
It's so icky.
In early 2012, while on a camping trip, Kevin and Sabrina started masturbating one another. Sabrina went on to say that's when she really developed strong feelings for Kevin, even going so far as to change his contacts in her phone as Kevin Love.
Oh my gosh, other people see that, bestie.
Mm-hmm. That's what got me. That's why I put it in there, because that stood out to me. Like, what if your foster mom checks your phone? I check my kid's phone periodically, especially if she's fighting me on stuff or like I'm having issues with her. I'm gonna check her phone.
I mean, my parents weren't checking my phone when I was 17. No, they stopped checking my phone when I was like 15, 16-ish. But
I don't check unless I have a reason to. But they didn't have any
reason to, exactly.
But like, what's the likelihood if you have a foster kid and you're not getting along with her and you're not going to have a reason to?
I mean, that makes sense. But I get what you're
So,
saying. Why would you change the... That's weird. Okay, moving on.
So she also tells them that summer, Kevin went with her to the bank and they opened a checking account with him as the co-signer. And she claimed that was a little bit before their relationship advanced to sexual intercourse. In the fall of 2012, Kevin would drive her to school each morning, giving them an opportunity for what Sabrina described as mostly blowjobs and fingering. Ugh.
I'm just, you can't see it because this is an audio podcast, but I'm staring off into space trying to get through dying.
While she was very vague about when exactly the relationship escalated to intercourse, she did recall one instance. Brace yourself.
I'm already braced. I need a seatbelt.
When they had sex while she was hospitalized in September of 2012 for an appendicitis. Mm-hmm.
What in the world? Where were the nurses?
It was also around that time that she said that Kevin started confiding in her. And in one of his confessions, he said that there were life insurance policies on Lisa worth up to $750,000, and then commented that Lisa was worth more dead than alive. He also suggested that if Lisa were gone, he and Sabrina could be together and raise a family, including Haley.
Oh, that is so messed up.
Yes.
I don't even know where to start, so I'm just going to let you keep going, and we'll get there, I guess.
Sometime in October 2012, Kevin and Sabrina had a conversation with Sabrina's friend, Autumn Pavlik, about having one of Autumn's friends kill Lisa, like hiring a hitman, basically. But Autumn moved to California later that month, and nothing more came of the plan. Sabrina then turned 18 on October 27th, but chose to stay in the house, like I said. Shortly after her birthday, Kevin told Sabrina that he no longer loved Lisa, but didn't want a divorce because he would have to share custody with Haley. And I kind of assume that he had like a sour, because that was like very repetitive that he would talk about that. Like, not just with Sabrina, but like mention it to other people. And I'm assuming that that's a thing because, like, sources say he had a son from the first marriage, but the son didn't live with him.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, like, the son, he probably, I don't know. There was only, like, the only person, like, there was one person that I think was his sister who said, oh, no, he was a fantastic father, blah, blah, blah. But yet there's no there's no talk about his son throughout this. So I'm guessing he didn't have custody. He probably had visitation maybe or something with his son. And so he has that like idea that he just doesn't want to lose another kid, not even part-time. So in early November, Kevin and Sabrina start discussing using a gun to kill Lisa. Sabrina says that the plan was for her to use a gun to kill Lisa that could not be traced to Kevin, and then hide the gun in the basement so he would then dispose of it. But the plan doesn't pan out because the day he's going to take Sabrina to the shooting range to teach her how to shoot, Lisa says, I want to go to the shooting range with you. So the morning before the murder, Kevin tells Sabrina of a fight that he and Lisa had, and he begins crying, and she even described him as like putting his head on the steering wheel of the car, like hitting his head on the steering wheel of the car, saying he just can't stand it anymore and he's going to kill himself if Lisa's not dead.
Oh my gosh.
So what does a naive 18-year-old kid do?
With mental health issues.
Yes. Who believes that she's in love with him and he's in love with her and Lisa's just standing in the way. So she says, okay, I'll do it. Kevin had already, apparently at some point when they had already been discussing, like, do we use a gun? They had gone over all the options. And he actually explained to her what to do in order to kill with a knife as well. He told her what kind of knife to get from the kitchen, how to use it, including twisting it, like stab her and then twist it. That'll be more fatal. He even told her, like, if she's laying on her back, stab her here. If she's laying on her side, stab her there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Then
that's so horrible. I mean, that's your spouse. That's your person that you've decided to build a life with.
Yeah. So he even went so far as to tell her like what clothes to wear. He told her to wear a ski mask to make it look, and then like, trash the room and stuff to make it look like it was a burglary gone wrong. But do it all before Haley wakes up, is basically what the gist of that was. And then he told her where and how to dispose of the evidence so that he would then come and take that away. He's also the one that told her to pretend like she blacked out if she were to get caught. And he said, don't worry, if you get caught, I will help you. We'll work on it. I'll help you if you end up in jail.
Help her with what?
Yeah.
She killed someone. How are you going to help her?
So,
hire a defense attorney? They're not going to be able to argue that you didn't kill someone. You're going to jail.
Yeah. So when she's asked, of course, investigators are like, okay, but why are you just now coming? They're skeptical.
Yeah.
Like, why are you just now coming to us with this information? She said that he promised he would help her, and he hasn't shown up. So she felt abandoned.
Oh, wait, why do I'm not all. Like, I don't feel bad you killed someone, but also, like, that sucks.
She's still, I mean, yes, she's 18, but she's not a well-adjusted 18-year-old by any means, So I'm
not
sure
but also, like,
to some degree, like, come on, he's the adult in the situation. Like, he took, if everything she's saying is true, he took full advantage of her.
What did he think she was going to do? He wasn't going to show up and she's just going to keep it to herself for the rest of her life? No.
Yeah.
Be a narc. Rat him out.
Yep. So, and she told them, I want justice. Like, I'm willing. Look, I know I'm going to jail, but I want justice.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't the only one that did this. So, for justice to be served, both of us need to face the consequences, basically was her reaction. So, of course, they start to investigate Kevin. The officer first on the scene, Officer Mullinex, had also met with Kevin later that morning of the murder and described Kevin's demeanor as calm. Kind of unusually calm. He reported that Kevin, quote, gave me a strange preface saying that he was some kind of EMT before and that he had seen stuff like this numerous times, and I wasn't going to tell him anything that he hasn't seen before, and he wanted to know every detail of what happened.
Okay.
Police records also showed that on September 15th of 2012, Kevin reported a domestic dispute that he claimed took place. He said that Lisa and him got into an argument regarding her daughter Megan because he had grabbed Megan by the back of the neck to walk her to her room, and Lisa accused him of choking Megan. Now, Lisa and Megan had already left the house. They weren't there when police showed up to take the report. But so when questioned, he said, well, I just wanted to make sure there's a report in case the incident leads to our divorce, and so it won't affect my custody of Haley. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So they start, obviously through investigation. Where do you start when you don't have like all the physical evidence leads to Sabrina?
Yeah.
Right?
Physical evidence doesn't normally help find motive.
Exactly. So they start interviewing anyone and everyone. Willie Smith, who was a social worker assigned to Sabrina through the 2011-2012 school year, reported an occasion where he met with Kevin to resolve a dispute between Sabrina and some other students. Smith noted that it was rather uncomfortable because Sabrina sat on Kevin's lap or between his legs the duration of the meeting.
Aren't you the social worker?
Yeah.
Shouldn't you be like...
That's not appropriate.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Check yourself.
Like most cases, you'll find that along the way. And honestly, some people even question, like, if Lisa suspected something was going on, why would she not, as a social worker, deal with that? But you kind of have to, if she didn't have any physical, like, solid proof, my guess is this is her home and she doesn't want to potentially, like, I would fear for my job. If I took a foster kid in and then my husband's doing something, I would fear for my job. So I wouldn't want to turn that in until I have, like, solid proof.
Well, and on top of that, like, it's just hard when you're in it, you know? Looking for us to look at it objectively.
Yeah.
And for that social worker who's in that meeting who's looking at it objectively.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, what are you doing? But if you're in it, that's different, you know? It's usually, well, my thighs are sore, babe. Are you going to massage my thighs?
No, I'm not.
I'm not either.
So they meet with Nicole Corbett, who was another social worker assigned to Sabrina. Yeah, I believe she was the social worker assigned at the time of the murder. She tells investigators that just a month before the murder, Kevin had called her inquiring if Sabrina would be able to remain with him if he and Lisa were to separate or divorce. She confirmed that it was a possibility. Because, of course, they didn't know what was happening. But I guess that might not be an unusual thing when it comes to foster kids. Like, to
if
call...
You're divorcing, just making sure that they still had a stable place. I guess that's not that weird.
But I still feel like you would question, like...
Why the father
Why would she go with you versus the mother who's the social worker and has fostered before?
Yeah.
You know? But nevertheless, again, it's just a small little thing that to that person probably didn't seem that significant at the time. Next was Latasha Stewart. She was a coordinator for the Catholic Charities that supervised Sabrina's work during the summer of 2012. She reported that during a meeting with Sabrina mentioned that Lisa did not like their relationship, Sabrina and Kevin's relationship. But that's all she said. Stewart then asked her directly if there was anything inappropriate about their relationship, and Sabrina denied. She said no.
Well, yeah, if you ask her, she's going to say no.
Yeah.
You have to,
of course.
You have to do more than just be like, so just as friends, just tell me.
Just tell me. Come on,
just tell me.
Spill it.
No.
Yep. Melissa Jevac was Sabrina's probation officer. And she tells investigators that in July or August of 2012, Kevin called her clearly agitated, asking her to speak with Sabrina because Sabrina wanted to date an older boy. The look on your face. I love it. Yes.
Hey, I hate to break it to you, dude. But you old. Like,
No, apparently there really was another boy that she, yeah.
Oh, come on, Sabrina. You could pick that one. That bad boy's good.
So GVAC confirmed that she did speak with Sabrina after her conversation with Kevin, and she told Sabrina, you're in their house. You have to abide by their rules. So if they say you can't date this boy, then you can't date this boy. All right. So this is where it gets even more interesting.
What are you talking? I'm enthralled, honestly.
So David Strunk was a close personal friend of Kevin's for 16 years.
You think you know a person.
Uh-huh. So he tells investigators that in October of 2012, his family and the Knoefels took a camping trip together where Kevin confided in him that he and Lisa had been fighting a lot and that Lisa believed Kevin was having an affair with Sabrina. Kevin confirmed that he was considering a divorce. He also then showed Strunk modeling photos of Sabrina and admitted to him that she had picked out his underwear because she thought they would be more comfortable. Here's the thing that gets me about the underwear. I am a married woman. You're in a serious relationship. So even in a serious relationship, like, I know what underwear my husband wears. And if he suddenly comes home with different underwear, I'm going to question that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's been wearing the same type of underwear for decades. And now, all of a sudden, you're wearing...
When he says she picked out his underwear, did she, like, pick from his underwear drawer, or did she buy him new underwear?
No, they bought new underwear.
Oh,
she may or may not have bought that. That's what it was a little fuzzy. Did she buy them, or was she just with you when you were shopping for them and she picked them out? Not sure. Does it really matter?
No. Well, I think it's different. For some reason, it's worse to me if she, like, goes in his underwear drawer and it's like, I like these. Than just, like, buying.
I don't know
so
that
if you're at the store, I can see you saying, like, well, what do you think? Like, do you think these would be more comfortable? If you're debating, it's weird because it's your foster daughter.
That's, well, yeah.
The boundary.
Talk to your wife about that. You don't talk to your foster daughter about that.
The reason I asked was because it would be way weirder to me if she's like, let's see. And she's, like, rifling through. Oh, no, not these ones. They're dirty. Oh, you need to do laundry. Like, that's weird. That's way worse to me than buying a pack of underwear.
Oh, my gosh. Who knows? She may have done that, too. We don't know.
Ladies, pay attention to what underwear your man's is wearing. Your foster daughter might have picked it out. I can't handle this. This is so...
Okay.
Icky is the only
Hang in there. Hang in there.
Yikes.
Stay with me. All right. So Kevin Melvin, Sabrina's teacher and who was also a part-time police officer for the city of Willoughby.
Oh, okay.
Reports that he witnessed Sabrina outside the school talking to Kevin on the morning of November 14th, 2012. So this is 2 days before the murder. At an unusual time. So it's not, he didn't like just take her to school. It's in the morning, but after she's already been at school for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And then he again saw him later that day inside the school trying to approach Sabrina to talk to her again.
And where is this in relation to the murder?
2 days before.
2 days before.
Yeah.
They're plotting.
So he goes up to Kevin and says, sir, you're going to need to check in.
Do you have a visitor pass?
Do you have a visitor pass? You're going to need to check in at the office.
Need the sticker.
So Kevin did. He checked in. Teresa Mann, the high school's attendance secretary, confirmed that Sabrina had signed herself out at 8:54 a.m. on November 14th. So this is when the teacher saw them outside.
Okay.
She had signed herself out at 8:54 and then signed back in at 9:05.
Okay.
Weird. Who
9
does that?
minutes.
Yeah.
Just
you don't. What do you have to talk to your kid?
That you can't like.
Yeah.
This is 2012. Like text her.
Exactly. Except he was smart about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But not smart enough to not sign in to the school.
We'll get that. We'll get there. So
I don't know how much. I don't honestly. You keep saying we're gonna get there. I don't know how much else there could possibly be.
There's a lot. Okay. So I'll get into like. Here's the thing. When it comes to Kevin, obviously, when it comes to Sabrina, all the forensics and all the facts
Yeah.
are, boom, she did it. But when it comes to Kevin, the case is very circumstantial. It's a lot of interviews. It's a lot.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Okay. So there's a lot of people, though, that can testify to all of these little things that just add up.
Okay.
I love circumstantial cases. I love it. It's my favorite. Okay. So Erica Gator, Lisa's supervisor from work,
It's a good last name.
tells this. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I think I am. She tells investigators that Lisa seemed distracted in the weeks prior to the murder, and that the day after Lisa's died, she takes food over to Kevin's mother's home, where him and, at least I'm assuming, Haley was staying. I'm assuming, God, I hope they let Megan go with her father.
Yeah.
I would think so, but so she takes food over to the family and just, to pay respects and everything. And she said that Kevin seemed to be completely normal, not upset at all. She also observed while she was there that there was a picture of Sabrina on the fridge. Which,
I mean, maybe they just hadn't taken it down, but that seems a little weird.
it's a little weird. Like, why would you not? Like, you really want to look at the picture of the girl that just stabbed your wife 178 times the night before? Really?
I wish you could see my face.
Really?
It's a stupid face that I'm making. This is stupid.
Yeah. Erica later, or she describes Kevin's demeanor at the funeral later, just days later, as emotionless.
You'd think you'd at least pretend.
Yeah. Kayleen Lessman was a coworker of Lisa's for 13 years, so she knew her pretty well. Reported that months prior to the murder, I almost said meeting, sorry.
With a murder.
To the murder. Lisa would often step away from her desk and take calls and then come back upset, clearly upset. Carrie Ward, also a coworker, but social friend of Lisa's, told investigators that Lisa had expressed concern about Sabrina's interactions with her daughters. Lisa had told her that Sabrina would fight with Megan often and play mother to Haley. Ward also stated that Lisa expressed frustration about Sabrina's relationship with Kevin.
Okay.
So that seems to be really the only person that she truly confided the full scope of everything that was going on. But multiple people saw that she was not herself for many weeks. So that same friend, Carrie, also recalled Kevin telling her in a very matter-of-fact kind of manner that $50,000 was going to be a lot to make up, which is how much Lisa made, was Lisa's salary.
Oh my gosh. Dude.
So here we go. This is where you got strap in.
Okay, well, I already put a seatbelt on.
Up to this point, the man was obviously very sneaky. Like, he's doing stuff, people suspect stuff, but nobody can prove it,
you
right?
Can't prove any of it.
And he's pretty sly about stuff. But then the fool gets greedy. The morning. Okay, so she's murdered on November 16th at like 2 o'clock in the morning. He's out on the road.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that part. So he wasn't home, obviously. He's out on the road so he can have alibi, deniability.
I did actually wonder where that was.
Because he was a truck driver.
Yeah,
so he was able. So he gets home at like 5 a.m., picks up at least Haley, if not both Megan and Haley, and then goes to his family's, goes to his mom's house, I believe. But that same morning, he spends the morning making phone calls to several places, including funeral home, all of the life insurance policies. He's calling right away saying, how do I make a claim on every single one of the life insurance policies that they had on Lisa? Because that's what you think of first and foremost when your wife just got murdered, was got to make those insurance claims.
Oh my gosh. I mean, part of me is like, well, I'm so logical that the first thing I'd be, okay, what do I need to do? Like, what's my next step? Because that's the only way I could keep going. But also the life insurance.
Like, I could see calling the funeral home for sure.
That makes sense.
Because you know that you're going to have a funeral and it's going to have to be probably soon.
Fast. Yeah.
But even that, she was murdered. How fast does it have to be? Because they're going to do an autopsy.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be as fast as if she died of old age. Like,
no, I know all about how long it takes to medical examiners. I've dealt with it many times. And, well, that sounds suspicious, but no, like,
I don't know. You're a probate
I'm
paralegal.
In probate, so I'm like, no, if for work, like it does. It slows the process down. So
yes.
You should know that.
So,
and they tell you that when you call a coroner
mm-hmm.
and they show up and they say, well, we're going to need to get the medical examiner involved because of X, Y, and Z. They tell you it's going to take a little while longer. Call your funeral director and let them know.
Yep. So, if it had just been the funeral home, though, like, not suspicious at all. But no, he called all of these, and they didn't just have like one or two plants. They had multiple.
Is that normal?
Plans. Well, it is if you're trying to murder your wife.
Okay.
I don't know. We only have a couple. Like, we really only have life insurance through work, like through an a group plan through work. So I don't know. But she did work for the county. So she had like some things that were just through her job that were very,
I was going to say, how many life insurance policies are normal?
I don't know. Apparently, I don't know. Apparently, I don't know that anybody would want to get this many because then it makes people greedy. Okay, so starting off, Pamela Brown, who was the branch president of the employee union in which Lisa was a member, reported that Kevin called to just say, what paperwork is needed? I need to file a claim. She told investigators that the union policy was worth between $30,000 and $35,000, depending on the employee's classification. Yes, I see a hand raised.
54% of people in the United States have life insurance.
Okay.
And the average cost is $178,000.
Yeah. No, they had a lot more than that.
They had a lot more life insurance policies. No. Sorry, as the young person who's barely into adulthood, I had a question that I needed answered.
Sure thing.
He's calling and asking about.
He's calling and asking. Then he calls his work because he had one through Gordon Food Service that provided $10,000 of basic life, and Kevin had purchased an additional $60,000 in supplemental coverage. Then it was that same policy ended up paying out because they had asked him, how did she die? Because there was also additional coverage if it's accidental death and dismemberment.
Yep. So
he actually received a check for $70,000 for the basic and supplemental, and then a check for $63,332 for the accidental death. And then they paid out a third check to the funeral home for $6,600, blah, 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 some change. A claims examiner at American General Life reported that Kevin made a claim that same day for a $250,000 policy that was issued only months before, on May 26th. May 16th, 2012.
Suspicious.
There was a Guardian Life insurance policy.
Holy crap.
That a person there told investigators that Kevin made the claim and received $249,542.34. There was a farmer's insurance policy, and Kevin received $150,000, over $150,000. That's going to get old with me saying all the change. So the farmer's insurance agent was the insurance company that Kevin and Lisa had used for multiple different types of policies as well. So he tells investigators not only that Kevin received that payout, but that around that same time, Kevin had changed their renter's policy to a homeowner's policy because they had been renting the house, but it was kind of a rent-to-own situation. So he had apparently used some of this money to purchase the house. He installed a new swimming pool, and he took out new policies on a 2013 Chevy Cruze, a 2011 Chevy Malibu, and 2 campers. So he kind of went on a shopping spree.
What is this idiot doing?
Basically, overall, Kevin reportedly collected over $785,000.
Holy crap.
Mm-hmm. So, remember his good friend David Strunk, who told him, talked about
that name?
The camping trip. He then reports that he met with Kevin on the morning of November 16th. And Kevin had already set up the appointment for the funeral home and was making the calls to the life insurance policy. Kevin had asked him to obtain some of the information from one of the life insurance policies, as well as shut down Lisa's digital accounts, including her Facebook, so that he would, quote, not have to deal with people leaving messages.
Okay.
Which I can understand on one hand. On the other hand, like, that's, so you're just going to cut everybody off. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
I don't know. We had some weird experiences with Facebook when my grandmother passed away. Like,
oh, yeah. You told me about one of those.
Sometimes it can just get, like, too much. So that one I understand.
Okay. So on November 17th, the next day, Detective Brian Jackson meets Kevin at the residence at Kevin's request. He wanted to enter the house, but he had asked police to ensure there would be no media present. Jackson tried to discourage him from entering and explained nothing had been cleaned up yet.
Yeah, you have to get a biohazard team out there.
Yeah.
And that's hard. It's expensive. And, like, they had to tear out the flooring and the walls, and I guarantee, like, some of the subflooring was damaged. Like, it's not an easy job. It's not so simple as just take some bleach. Like,
yeah.
Things you know when you work in probate.
Jackson stated that Kevin displayed no emotion when told this, and that he said he still wanted to see it for himself. So Jackson left.
Yeah, I'm dipping. He said deuces.
That same day, Kevin went to try and visit Sabrina in jail. Corrections Officer Jay Leonard informed Kevin that she didn't have any more visiting time that day. Kevin became visibly anxious and told him that he needed to see her. He said no. Kevin went back to the lobby, waited for a few more minutes, and returned to the officer, like, slamming his hands down on the counter, or at least, like, firmly, like, slapping the counter and saying anxiously that the officer didn't understand he really needed to see her because he was her father. No, sir. Her father actually died of a drug overdose in 2012.
So
as well. Yeah. So that was happening, like,
at the same time.
The same time. Yes. So Strunk tells investigators, his good friend Strunk, that Kevin he was with him when he went to the jail, and he was very upset when he got back to the car or whatever. He says that then Kevin contacted Sabrina's relatives and asked them to let her know that he was not going to give up on her and that he's there for her. That same afternoon, he arranged for the cleanup crew to go to the house, but he also told them to remove all of Lisa's belongings. Joe Becca was the field specialist for the trauma scene cleanup crew.
Those people do the Lord's work.
Yeah, they do.
If you listen to Criminal with Phoebe Judge, that podcast, she has an episode where she meets with some people who just do crime scene cleanup. It's a fantastic episode. You should go give it a listen.
Oh, I will.
I'll have to find the episode number. It's really good.
Nice. So this guy, Joe Becca, tells investigators that Kevin told him that cost did not matter because he had a $250,000 insurance policy, and he said it in a very matter-of-fact kind of way. Becca also told investigators that Kevin asked him to look for a finger and a ring that might be in the bedroom. Again, her face.
Bro.
On November 19th, David Strunk said that he directly, after Kevin's behavior, he's really questioning everything. So he directly asked Kevin if he had any sort of inappropriate relationship with Sabrina. Kevin quickly changed the topic without answering. Also on the 19th of November, Kevin reported Lisa's death to the Ohio Public Employee Retirement System, where Lisa was a member. Due to her membership, Kevin was now entitled to a monthly benefit of $1,030.51. Frances Corley, Sabrina's aunt, reported that she had been concerned for some time about Sabrina's relationship with Kevin because she had been told about the bank account that they opened together. She says that Sabrina had lent Kevin money and that she knows Sabrina knew about the life insurance policies prior, She also recalled a conversation with Kevin later on in March of 2013 where she asked him directly about his relationship with Sabrina, to which he replied, quote, something to the effect that his neighbors were asking him questions too, and then he changed the subject. So, okay. There's the long list of witnesses of sorts.
Yeah, people who have stuff to say.
Yes. So investigators then, they were able to get a search warrant. They searched the house. They end up examining 22 electronic devices from the home, but found nothing to implicate Kevin in the murder. The one unusual thing that they did find is that between November 1st and November 16th, there were 1,491, quote, communications, meaning text messages, cell phone calls, that sort of thing, between Kevin and Sabrina. 78 of which occurred between 7 p.m. on November 15th and 1 a.m. on the 16th, just before the murder.
Okay.
During that same period of time, there were only 201 communications between Kevin and Lisa, none of which occurred between 7 p.m. and 1 a.m. the night of the murder. But investigators did note that Kevin and Lisa worked opposite schedules and that the data did not include home phone calls made from their landline.
Yeah, maybe he called so that he could talk to Haley too, or...
Yeah. So remember Sabrina's friend Autumn Pavlik,
yes, I remember Autumn,
who had the discussion about the hitman. They track her down, and she confirmed that she did have a conversation with Sabrina about hiring a hitman and said that Sabrina would continue to bring it up repeatedly. Pavlik also told investigators that Kevin had shown her a gun that he kept in his truck. She claimed that she and Sabrina discussed doing a drug run to get the money to hire a hitman, but she told Sabrina that she needed a ride to do it. And shortly thereafter, Kevin called her to ask if she still needed a ride.
Okay.
So after the murder and they track her down, she ends up cooperating with investigators and attempts to contact Kevin multiple times by phone and text. On June 4th, 2013, he finally calls her back and they record the conversation, but he doesn't really admit anything.
Yeah.
He dodges it. 2 days later, though, a detective calls Kevin and asks him if he's familiar with Sabrina's acquaintances, including Pavlik. Kevin says her last name doesn't, quote, ring a bell, but that he knows Sabrina had a friend from school named Autumn who, quote, disappeared. So you just talked to her 2 days ago, but you have no idea who she is.
Oh, I just remember her.
On July 10th, 2013, Pavlik flies to Ohio and goes to Kevin's house. She records the conversation where she asks him what to tell the police. She tells them the police are coming. The police are asking me, they're interviewing me. Yeah. What do I tell them about the conversations that we had about the hitman and his relationship with Sabrina? Kevin responds that she should tell them the truth because he doesn't know what Sabrina told her. So he's sneaky.
Yeah.
He's sneaky. In August of 2013, police, that was when police executed. I kind of got ahead of myself with the whole phone thing, but that's when they executed the search warrant. They found all the devices and stuff, but other than that, they really only found extensive remodeling had been done. He had 3 vehicles on the property, which were all registered to him, as well as a travel trailer. But they didn't find anything illegal or like incriminating, so to speak.
Yeah.
However, thanks to circumstantial evidence, on June 11th, 2014, the jury found Kevin Knoefel guilty on all counts, which were 6 counts of sexual battery, multiple counts of complicity to aggravated murder, and multiple counts of conspiracy to commit aggravated murder. At the state's request, the judge was willing to combine the counts of complicity and conspiracy. Yeah. So, on August 6, 2014, Kevin was sentenced to 2 years for each of the 6 counts of sexual battery and life with parole after 30 years for the complicity to aggravated murder. The sentences were ordered to be served consecutively, which means he will serve a minimum of 42 years.
Sounds good to me.
Yep. The court additionally ordered this I love. I always forget that they do this. The court ordered him to pay the costs of prosecution and found him to be a Tier 3 sex offender.
Yay!
Yay, yay, yay. So, it doesn't end there.
Oh,
I love it.
Lord.
So, shortly after once he was tried and they found him guilty, and they were able to use Sabrina's, kind of the star witness, then they sentenced Sabrina. Sabrina was sentenced, as agreed, to life with possibility for parole after 30 years. Sabrina's defense counsel did ask for parole after 20 years, attempting to use Kevin's manipulation as a mitigating factor, but the judge denied the request, stating that while he didn't think there was any question as to whether Kevin manipulated her, the seriousness of the crime outweighed those other factors. On August 29th, 2014, Kevin made his first appeal, citing 7 errors, but I'm only going to go over 4 of them because the other 3 were these are the ones that were interesting to me. So he claimed that the trial court erred by denying his motion to suppress the recorded phone call between him and Autumn Pavlik.
Okay.
The appellate court denied, stating that while he is claiming it violates his Fourth Amendment rights, he really is citing cases that actually refer to California statutory law, and that it would only apply if he were the one in California. So because she was in California when they talked, he thought that
meant
his team thought that meant, oh, that applies. No, if you had been the one in California, that would apply, but you weren't. And Ohio laws are different. Number 2, he claimed that the testimony given by his good friend David Strunk regarding Lisa Knoeffel's statements was double hearsay because they were things that Kevin had actually told David.
Hearsay's so tricky.
It is. So they say no, because he's just telling us what you said, and then it kind of, the rest speaks for itself. Yeah. So, the court basically says under Ohio I can't talk. I almost said under Ohio construction law.
Indeed.
Under Ohio Constitution law, the court has a fairly wide discretion when it comes to hearsay. The appellate court determined that Lisa's statements were not hearsay because they were not offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted, but rather to show the state of Kevin and Lisa's marriage.
Yes. And that is, hearsay is a lot about the intent of the phrase.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so tricky. And one day maybe we'll talk more about it. I don't feel qualified to talk about it.
It's a lot. It's tricky.
So tricky. Do you remember when they taught that in paralegal school?
Yes.
I do. And it was.
And I remember my head spinning quite a bit.
Wait,
like what? And every time you think you understand it, then
you get another scenario.
You get another scenario or example, and you're like, wait,
hold on.
no.
I'm so confused.
So And they also say that that point was also corroborated by Sabrina's testimony, as well as the text messages retrieved from Lisa's phone. Because that was the one thing. They didn't get any messages off the text that incriminated him with the murder, but they definitely got texts that incriminated him as far as like showing the state of his marriage and his relationship with Sabrina.
It just furthered that circumstantial evidence.
Yes. So the third claim that I'm going to cover was he tries to claim that the jury erred in finding him guilty by the court overruling his motion for acquittal with respect to count 3 for sexual battery. And that is sexual intercourse with a minor due to insufficient evidence. The appellate court stated that this argument, quote, raises a question of law as to whether the prosecution offered some evidence concerning each element of the charged offense, citing State versus Brown. The court goes on to quote State versus Jenkins and State versus Lamar, which both conclude that the evidence is to be construed in the prosecution's favor. The elements requiring evidence were that Kevin had sexual intercourse with Sabrina and that it occurred prior to her 18th birthday. Sabrina's testimony detailed multiple times that they had intercourse between August 2012 and October 2012 when she turned 18. Yeah, so you did it, man.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, no. It goes in the favor of the prosecution, so what are you going to do? I don't know. What are you going to do?
Sit in jail.
So, number 4, Kevin claimed that all counts of the indictment were against the manifest weight of the evidence. This means, I know, I read that and I was like,
I need you to elaborate.
I vaguely remember that phrase. Okay, so this means the degree to which the evidence convinces the jury to either accept or reject a factual assertion. Or basically the strength of the evidence.
Okay.
The appellate court determined Kevin's arguments all focused on the credibility of Sabrina, specifically pointing out portions where she contradicted herself or was contradicted by another witness. Ultimately, the court states that while, quote, a jury could reasonably doubt portions of Zunich's testimony, the jury's decision to credit her testimony does not create such a manifest miscarriage of justice as to justify reversing Kevin's convictions. The court also notes that there was an abundance of circumstantial evidence corroborating critical parts of Sabrina's testimony.
Yeah.
I love circumstantial cases.
Yeah, because they're like, but you can't, but I didn't. And you're like, but like you did.
But all signs point to yes.
So if it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck.
It's a duck. And I think the reason that I love that so much is because our personality type, we're very intuitive and we read people, but then you can't always, you're like, damn it, I know you're doing this. I know you are. I can't prove it yet, but I know you are. But if you could build a circumstantial case against them, you absolutely.
That does make sense.
Did you ever see the show Cold Justice?
No.
Oh my God, I love that show so much. It's this prosecutor. Her name's Kelly. I forget her last name, but her name's Kelly. She just kind of goes by Kelly on the show. But she literally travels the country opening up cold cases and she wins these cases like predominantly on circumstantial evidence a lot of the times. The way she explains everything. Oh my gosh. I love it. Okay. We're almost done. I swear.
Oh, you're fine. There's just so much to process.
In August of 2015, this is the part that I've been waiting for. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh.
This is great. You ever just have like this,
yes,
like somebody so scummy and you're like, oh, I see right through you. Oh, I see it. And then they do something so stupid and you're like, yes, you're going to get everything you deserve.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is it. In August of 2015, Kevin sues his former defense team, alleging they lied about their trial experience to get hired, they charged excessive fees, and they behaved unprofessionally. Do you know what this means?
No.
This means that he just allowed them. He just waived.
They just
his
waived
attorney. His attorney-client confidentiality and privilege.
Oh my gosh.
So
you're so stupid.
So
they basically can just say
yep.
everything now.
Yep. So his former attorneys countersue for breach of contract, claiming that Kevin still owed them $216,120 plus interest and fees. And thanks to his suit, he relieved his former attorneys of attorney-client privilege. Therefore, the team revealed in their countersuit that the plaintiff, quote, plaintiff is not innocent and in fact admitted to two defendants that he engaged in criminal acts which were at issue in the underlying criminal proceedings.
Yep.
So they didn't go into detail, but they definitely said
he did it though.
he did something. He did, like, he's not innocent. So, needless to say, he went on to appeal several more times. And of course, that's public record, dude. Now all the courts they're all going to know, like, you admitted to
But you already
guilt.
said you did it.
Yeah.
To your attorneys, who you have to, like, nobody's making you be honest, but if you want them to do their job correctly, then
you have to be honest. But then don't be stupid and try and sue them and blame them for your loss.
Did he ask another attorney before he sued them? Because
yeah, this other attorney was like, "It's not fair." Like the quote, I should have quoted him, but I just was like,
somebody should have told him.
No,
bro,
this is not
this
smart.
This is not a good idea.
So the only thing that I could see is if he lied to the new defense, to that new attorney, and said, "No, I didn't do it," and it's their fault that I lost. And that guy believes him, then he's going to be like, sue. But if he knew it, because I don't know. You'd have to be really full of yourself to be like, oh, you did it, and you told your attorneys, that's okay, we'll sue them. And then because you know that rule's going to go away and that they're going to be allowed to say whatever.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, last note, on a good note. I know it's just for, lawsuits. Like, these people don't actually have the money to pay out, but nevertheless, it's the principle. In 2017, a Lake County court awarded $6.2 million in damages to Lisa Knoeffel's daughters.
Good.
$5 million against Sabrina and $1.2 million against Kevin.
Good.
So, will they see any of that?
No.
But it's just
so
nice when victims
got a lot of therapy to get through. So
yes, ma'am.
I know. My heart does really hurt for Megan.
Oh yeah, both of them. But
yeah, Megan was there and she was trying, and that's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really know, like, what did Haley witness? Remember. Like, obviously she was in the closet, but was she peeking out? Did she just listen? Did she cover her ear? Like, you don't know
what you're capable of at 3.
I still remember I had some big trauma at 3, and I have not full, like, not super vivid memories, but I still have memories. Okay. They're vague, but yeah. So she'll need her fair share of therapy too, probably. I mean, I'm sure some people block stuff out. No, I'm not sure. I know, but some people block trauma out no matter what age they are. So I think it just depends on the person as to how.
I hope that they are doing well as they can.
Absolutely.
That was an amazing case.
Thank you.
That was awesome. You did a great job.
Thanks. I know it's a lot of numbers, and insurance is always so exciting, but it was important. It was important to get through. So thanks for all for listening.
Thanks.
All right. Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, guys. Find us on Instagram and TikTok at Burden of Proof Pod and email us at burdenofproofpod@gmail.com.